Thanks a lot for being here. It's an honor to have the very first Red Ranger here in Brazil at Comic Con Experience.
Brazil is awesome, man. You guys rock.
Yeah!
Right? Viva Brazil!
Yeah. So, the name of this panel is Power Rangers, the beginning. We're going to talk about the very first seasons of Power Rangers, especially the first season. So I'd like to start asking about how did you get into this show? How was the process? Did you do anything about the show it was based on? What they told you about what it was going to be?
No, I wasn't even an actor, obviously. I was a teenager with attitude, though. And I had martial arts skills, so the initial audition went out in the Los Angeles newspaper, and it was an open call. Anybody in the public could come in, and I didn't want to go. And a friend of mine was like, for 3 weeks he had me, he said, you should go, and I wouldn't go. And finally he says, I'll bet you $20 that if you go, you won't be wasting your time. So I went and I lost $20, and here I am.
Were the best $20 you spent in your life?
It was the best $20 and I made it back. Right? But at the time I thought gas money, baloney, you know, I had food and gas money. But I didn't, I lost food and gas money. So, but it was a total surprise. And the show, the audition originally was, it went out and it was called Phantoms. So it wasn't Power Rangers. After we filmed the pilot, they're like, oh, we're gonna call it Dino Rangers. And our faces, when we would morph, would turn into these, stretch into these dinosaurs. Have you seen this?
Uh-huh.
It's not very complimentary. And then they came up with Power Rangers, and we still had no idea because we weren't filming originally the suit footage for the fights. They were using that footage from Japan. So we didn't really know what the whole thing looked like because we hadn't seen it. And then we saw it and we heard that you guys went crazy, and here we are, man.
Especially, I have a video that I'd like to show you, that especially from the very first episode. I know you did the scene twice, first for the pilot, the unreleased pilot, and then you did it again. And there's a surprise for you, because it's dubbed. You're gonna see what you sound like in Portuguese. Pode passar o primeiro vídeo, por favor?
Isso é muito estranho. O que a gente faz agora?
Joga um disco de uma roda e fuja morrendo. Vamos ver. Mastodonte!
Pterodáctilo!
Triceratops!
Triceratops!
Tiranossauros!
Ótimo, teletransporte-os para a cidade Alabina dos Anjos. Rita acaba de mandar voltar para lá.
É o teletransporte de novo!
Pra onde estamos indo?
Vamos salvar o mundo! Vamos!
Did you like our voice in Portuguese? I sounded different. But it was good, it was good. At least he didn't sound like Alpha. That could have given me a different reputation.
So, what was it like the first episodes? I mean, you guys, you formed this group that I believe it's probably the most iconic group the franchise has ever had in its 25 years. What was for you guys when you first realized that Power Rangers was becoming a hit? What was it like for you guys?
It was pretty informal. We were on set. The first year of filming, we shot anywhere from 12 to 18 hours a day. And we had very little free time. 6 days a week, and then on the 7th day, we would come in and do ADR, which is where we would voice over all the Japanese footage. So 7 days a week for the first year. And it was maybe around the 8th or 9th month when Jonathan Zakura, the producer, came down. I was sitting next to Walter Jones, the Black Ranger. And Jonathan came down and he says, guys, listen, I have to tell you, your shows become #1 in the world. Best ratings ever. Good job. And he turned around and walked back upstairs. And we were like, I was sitting there in the time in my Red Ranger suit. It was tied down around my waist. I was hot, I was sweaty, I was tired. We've been shooting all day. Zach was sitting there doing the same thing. And we just kind of looked at each other. We're like, did that just happen? And he was like, yeah. And we went back to reading our scripts. And that was how we first heard that we were famous all over the world, in 40 countries and 90 languages. The first time we ever got to experience it as a group was at Universal Studios in 1994. It was a rock star moment. We were supposed to do one show in an amphitheater that only holds 1,000 people, and do this live martial arts demo and all this stuff. And 2 days before the show even started, people were camping out to get into the show. And the producers were like, uh-oh. Yeah, eta. So anyway, so the lines kept growing. So finally they took us to the biggest amphitheater at Universal Studios, where Michael Jackson, Madonna, you know, all the big actors or singers or performers would go. And one show with 1,000 people turned into 5 shows with 6,000 people, and the park was sold out. We broke Universal attendance records. It's the only time it's been done. And you guys and your parents are totally crazy, just for the record. Okay? Because when we walked out, it was Jason, Jason, Jason. Goosebumps everywhere. I was like, wow. Cameras all over the place. It was insane. It was a true rock star moment. So that was probably our biggest moment together.
Wow. Was that between season 1 and 2, or were you already doing season 2?
It was right towards the end of season 1. It's the only live appearance we have all ever done together.
Wow. And I believe by the time when you started to record in season 2, I bet things were already very different. As we can see in the show, obviously. But what was it like? You already had this experience, you already knew it was a hit. Did it change anything when you guys started shooting season 2, or did you just go back to the same?
No, we had a very short break. I mean, things happened very quickly. And the script started changing because I told producers I was going to leave the show if they didn't start taking better care of the actors. Because we were a non-union show. We worked 18 hours a day, and by film standards, I mean, we were paid. People at McDonald's made more money than we did. No joke. So it was, I've always had a problem. Even at 18, I knew I was going to fight with the owner, who was a billionaire. I wanted to really fight, but instead I had to stand up for my rights, and I took him to court, and I won. And then I left the show on principle, along with Walter and Tweet. And that's how Jason Frank started getting written in stronger and stronger. And then they made him the leader. I stayed through the transition, and then I left, which is what I said I was going to do. I don't like being taken advantage of. How many of you do? Nobody, right? It sucks. So, so the show was very different, but after the first year, we got I think it was 1 week off for Christmas, and then we went right back into filming. Like, it was crazy. Our first season was 60 episodes. Most seasons are only 13. So we filmed a lot.
Yeah, and I hear you had 40 episodes, but the show was such a hit that they were like, we need to do more episodes, and then you recorded 20 more episodes. Like,
yeah, it was after the first 40 that we started filming all of the fight footage in America. So, I mean, you could tell which ones of us could really fight. I mean, my first audition, they didn't ask me, can you act? They're like, do you know martial arts? Yeah. They're like, well, show us your karate. I'm like, I don't know karate. And they're like, but you said you know martial arts. I was like, I do know martial arts. And they're like, well, show us your karate. I was like, I don't do karate. Do you know what you're talking about? Because it doesn't sound like it. And I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. And so, you know, I put together some Chungdo Taekwondo and some Aikido and Kenpo and put it all together, added a few flips, and they're like, oh, okay. You know,